Again. Here we go, 7 o'clock Sunday, guys. Welcome to all of the regulars. So last week we didn't even really get to much of the episode because I had a long preamble about Survivor and how being on the shows, there's so many difficult things about it. The one is actually being on the show. The other is watching yourself on the show and dealing with the things that you do perhaps in the show, and watching it on TV and how they can affect you psychologically. If you look at somebody like Seamus, whose journey I absolutely adore. He is so... Somebody actually messaged me privately, a friend of mine, to say, I feel so bad for Seamus. Like, is this going to send him into another downward spiral? And actually, I think that Seamus might have been able to close the door to deal with his past trauma, right? Because there's this thing for a fan to get to play this game. You know, you get like the chance of a lifetime to get in, and then you get to play. And for somebody like Seamus, who's a mega fan and then gets in and then goes out first, that in the back of your head, you're always going to have this thing saying, I didn't even get a chance. I didn't even get a chance. I know I can do better. I know I can do better. And this time going in and really still not doing as well as he had hoped. And so perhaps now he's saying, okay, maybe I can put this to bed. I tried my best. Both times I really tried my best. I changed my tactics and it still didn't work. So I feel for Seamus, but what an absolute champion. The way he took it, I've spoken to him. He had a lot of thoughts and feelings around, you know, how it's portrayed and stuff like that. And again, I've said this before, that we are only getting a few minutes of, 3 or 4 days. And so there's still so many people. I have to remind you that we are still pre-merge. This pace that we are at, we haven't even made merge yet. So it's incredible pace that's happening at the moment. And we are losing huge gameplays. Tevin's gone. We've got Seamus gone. Shona went with so much potential. And we are still only in our second week of watching this show. So the pace that we are watching South African Survivor at, I've never seen anything like it. We are in our second week and we've had a tribe swap, a shuffle, shall we call that. Shona landing up with a jar full of pee and having to make maneuvers in a very sticky situation. But we're going to talk about the decisions that she made in choosing which tribe she went to. But let's get back to, flip. Monday, we see Tanya and Pinty going at it again. Hey, man. It's so interesting for me, Pinty. She is... When I met her, she was kind of an introvert in a big group setting. And then watching her on the show, it's so different for me because she doesn't come across remotely like she does on the show. She's quite timid. She is quite respectful, kind, and I don't know. I feel like Pinty perhaps has got a lot of I don't even know, guys. I'm not a psychologist, right? So I can't make a call on these things. But she's so quick to anger, and I don't want to get into about. I don't want to get into the, anger and all that sort of stuff, because I'm going to get to that challenge a little bit later on. I didn't meet Pinty. Hilgard's asking me, didn't I meet Pinty on a hike? I don't hike. Firstly, I used to, but not anymore. I haven't been on a hike probably in like 2 years. I think Tony met Pinty at the top of a hill somewhere in Cape Town. And Tony, it was when Pinty's season was on. I think they bumped into each other on a hike. But I met Pinty at the reunion last year, which was organized by Dino and Santoni. And didn't really have like a long chat, but in a room full of huge personalities, you've got Chappies in the room, you've got Santoni in the room, you've got Dino in the room, you've got all these big players in the room. My season 5, season 4, Amanda, you've got a whole bunch of huge players in the room. I met Pinty and she was so timid and quiet, and I don't know if she was maybe overwhelmed with how many people and personalities were in that room, but she's so different on the show. And I can only imagine that when Pinty feels attacked, her first initial response is to want to retaliate. Like, don't talk over me, I'm not a pushover, I'm here, I'm a strong woman. Like, those are the kind of things that I'm picking up when she is pitted against an alpha. And I read such an interesting thing the other day about alphas. Alphas, if you think back, are people who went out and provided for the tribe. I don't necessarily think these are alphas. I just think these are huge competitive personalities out in a game for 2 million rand. And there's so much dynamic that happens now between the drive for yourself to win 1 million rand. If you look at somebody like Dino is 100% playing for himself. I feel like Dino wants to believe that he has other people's best interests at heart, like Meryl or whoever he's actually aligned with. But essentially, you're in a sprint. Let's call it a marathon. Hey, Santoni's here. Essentially, you're in a marathon, but you have to help the person next to you who's in your team. So it's kind of like a relay marathon, but at the end of the day, only one of you can win. And so you also, while you are busy running for yourself, you also have to make sure that this person is almost pushing you forward. It's a weird dynamic to be in. And I feel like somebody like Dante has been playing an individual game since the moment he put his foot on the beach. He's obviously connected to somebody like Meryl. But at what cost? I feel like Meryl is seeing, in the last episodes, we saw Meryl kind of, Dante, you need to calm down, you need to calm down. You need to, like, almost like trying to center him and being like, you're running too far ahead. And although Dante has got a correct read on it, again, it's around how he's able to influence people to get them to his side of reading the room. So I'm finding the dynamics between the individual game. At this point, we're not even in merge yet, and everybody is out for themselves. If you look at like Dino playing the idol for himself there, could have maybe done something better. Shona could have done something with her fake idol. There's so many different iterations of if somebody had done one thing different, how each of these votes could have panned out. I feel like Monday and Tuesday for me were pretty quiet in terms of like the show. I feel like, I think at the end of the episode, friends of ours were like, oh, that was pretty boring. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. Did Tanya go home on Monday? Then Tevin. Those votes seemed quite straightforward in terms of the episode unraveling. Like, I can't even remember what happened Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because all we got slapped with was on Thursday, this... In my pre-video, my promo video, I called it the worst challenge I'd ever seen. Not because it wasn't good TV, but I think the castaways, most of them have like done a post, or some of them who actually took part did talk about it. And I don't know if I've ever seen anything, you know, quite as intense, quite as physical, mental. Think about this, and I meant to ask, if Larue joins, just let me know. I meant to ask Larue actually how long on the paper that challenge was. Because if you think about it, they first went for half an hour, then somebody got injured. That means that they have to stop the challenge and everybody basically freezes unless they take them out the mud and send them back to where they were, which I doubt whether that happened. So the medics have to come in. They have to assess what's happening. They pulled Steffi. By the time we saw her again on the screen, she'd been strapped up. Then the game begins again. He scraps the first round. So that half an hour didn't even count, right? Now you've lost Steffi, and Palesa got her knee injured. So then they start again. And then they've got new people in there who go for like another hour. And then there's a whole other injury that happens. I'm not saying that the challenge wasn't done before, but I've never seen it as intense or the impact on the players as it has been this season. Mentally, physically, emotionally, I think they were hit from all angles. The depths at which they had to dig to get through that challenge, I don't think I've seen anything like it. It was absolutely... It was frightening, to be honest with you. I would have not enjoyed waiting. Somebody like Dino or Philip, who didn't get, or Teresa, who didn't actually go into the mud. I would have, honestly, my heart would have been beating out of my chest because I wouldn't want to look like I didn't want to do it. But, yeah, guys, that was like some other kind of stuff. I'm still in two minds about whether it was a good idea or not, but look, I know somebody whose doctor is the doctor on the show. And this week he said to, his name is Dr. Khan. He said to Dr. Khan, like, you're the survivor. And Dr. Khan said, listen, and Dr. Khan I think has been on the last 2 seasons. Dr. Khan says he's never seen anything like this. He has no idea why anybody goes on this show. He's like, and this season specifically, they are not getting food. They literally have nothing. They are suffering. They are eating whatever they can. And he says he doesn't know how they can do this to a person. It's like you sign an NDA, you sign permission to be hungry and starved and pushed to your limits. And I think that in one challenge, they summed everything up. This is the game of Survivor. Hey Sheldon, you go up against your foe in a mano-mano, in a team. I mean, think about it again. For me, this season has been boiled down to team versus individual. And within a team challenge, they had pitted people against each other. And a lot of people attacked Pinty, right? I'm going to talk about this now. About her injuring Shona, right? If you think now, let's be honest, if you think about how intense a game of 30 seconds can get in your house, right? 30 seconds takes an hour and you're done. How intense does 30 seconds get in your house? How much shouting, how much screaming, how many people flip boards? How intense can a game of Uno get in the house? I know, in my house, Monopoly Deal gets pretty intense. We want to splash the cards, all that sort of stuff. Now, imagine being in the most intense, like, you know, MMA, when they fight, the rounds are like 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. Boxing's like 5 minutes or whatever. Because you physically cannot go full intensity for longer than that. We are not built for that. The adrenaline that must have been pumping through the veins must have felt like they were coming out of their neck, right? And now you've got, how many people left? We've got 15 people before the vote still in this game who are at their very nature competitive people, right? And if you put somebody like Pinty in, Pinty is used to standing up for herself. And she is called Pinty because she is small. She is a small built person. And she's used to operating in big girl world. And I think in that moment, she did not mean to hurt Shona. I know that none of the people on Survivor are vindictive people. None of them are dangerous individuals. But in that moment, her competitiveness took over. I don't know. I haven't spoken to her. This is what I'm reading from the game and reading Pinty and how she operates. As somebody mentioned in the show, I think Philip called her Jack Russell. That's exactly what it was. You know, when Jack Russells get to the point, they pull it, they like want to fight you, and they pull away, and then they come at you again. That's what was happening. And if you look at why are we getting so uptight about what Pinty did when Dante did exactly the same thing and lifted Tejan off the ground and threw him onto the ground. And we were all like, yes, well done. In a game of rugby, when a number 15 tackles a number 9 or whatever, we don't be like, oh, that was uncalled for. This was a game where there were rules set out, no punching, no scratching, no biting, no whatever. Did Pinty come close to breaking the rules? Perhaps. But remember that the people watching this, talking about production, are watching this show very closely. There are like 20 cameras on them. They have got maybe 6 pairs of eyes in a control booth watching every camera to make sure that everybody's playing by the rules. At that time, they're so flippin' tired that none of them can do anything. And Pinty just gets so frustrated at not being able to win, to end the challenge, that she does something that is out of her character and kind of like body slam Shona. I think the dramatic response from Shona wasn't over dramatic. I didn't think Shona was like trying to flail around and pretend that she's dying. What I do think happened was she got the wind knocked out of her. And if you've ever had that, I've been knocked to the ground in a game of hockey, in a game of softball, and when the wind gets knocked out of you, you panic because you feel like you're not breathing. Your heart feels like it's going to come out of your throat. So, and I think in that moment, I think she maybe did pull a muscle somewhere as well, and maybe something torn, a ligament or something like that. But I think the panic in that moment and the utter emotional response, the physical exhaustion, just came through there. But again, I don't think, my personal opinion, that Pinty went out there to hurt anybody. And I think if we can all give them all a break and just be like, hey, Dante threw Tejan into the ground. He didn't get hurt. And it just happened to be a case of Pinty going a little bit harder, a little bit more intense to get that over with. I said to somebody, if I was in that challenge, I would have been like, listen, I'm going to let you roll this ball. Just get me to the end because I actually cannot do this anymore. The boss is here, Jay. Morris, thank you. So I don't think we have anything to take out on Pinty. And again, it's a lot of people who are not massive. LaRue, before you carry on, please can you just tell me off the top of your head, how long actually was the end of that challenge? How long did they go for, including medical interruptions? Like literally how long were people in the mud? I just wanted to know that, and just to give people some context as to how long one can maintain one's composure being under immense duress, immense stress, competitiveness coming out of your eyeballs. If you have that off the top of your 3 and oh my God. Three and a half hours, guys. I wasn't ready for that. My tribal council, my final tribal council, which was probably the most intense thing I've had to sit through in my whole life, was around 3 hours. Jesus Christ. Sorry to swearing. Okay. So now, when you take that into context, that these people have been trying to end a challenge that can give them food, sidebar, a little bit of bunny chow, which at this point I think is a big driver, but to stay in the game. Welcome, JC. And so for me, whatever happened there, whoever got hurt, yes, come on. It was bound to happen. And I think putting people like Steffi in a challenge like that, you put somebody like Dante in there, you put somebody like Pinty in there, they are going to get intense. And that was the point. Did they want to avoid injuries? Perhaps. But, God, even watching the episode, afterwards and when they wake, I don't think any of them can move the next day. Some of them were saying they had bruises for months afterwards. And I really have to take my hat off to them for going so hard for so long. It was the craziest thing I've seen. And yes, we have seen Bunny Chow was made by our transport manager, Kenny Naidu. Incredible cook, incredible human. Listen, I won't lie, that Bunny Chow looked good. And if I could order some, I would love to. But I'm sure that the Sunshine Coast is not going to make an Uber Eats delivery. Yeah, I think actually Sheldon makes a good point here. I also thought that at the end of the episode, I thought that Pinty kind of was going to suffer a lot of heat because that episode ended there and we didn't know if Shona died. Literally, we were like, did she die? I mean, I saw her, so I know she didn't. But I think that the cutting of that episode and then the next day going back and then showing, and I think Pinty summed it up really nicely. I actually wrote a message to her and I said, look, to be honest with you, I think you did, because she was guys, on Wednesday, Pinty was in a massive state. She really, really thought the world, I mean, she thought her whole, not persona, what's the right word? Her reputation was going to be damaged by all of this. And I think I felt so bad for her because when you're in that moment, you think that the whole world is against you. And I always try and remind people that when we work in radio as well, we get like 5% of the audience, maybe 5, let's keep it at 5% of the audience will ever respond on a WhatsApp, on a website, a phone in. And I think the people who are responding is like 1% of people who perhaps don't understand the grander scheme of things, that like in that moment, that was 3.5 hours of their lives, like just, they had nothing left. And I think just snapping just 1 second, left her. And she really did feel a lot of remorse. And in that confessional, I mean, as she cried and she said, I didn't mean to hurt her. I didn't mean it to go that way. And I think that was a good moment to capture for Pinty, just to, in the context of the show, to be like, I didn't mean it. I snapped I think it came across, and I was really happy that she kind of closed that loop. It sucked for her that it happened only the next day, because a lot of people were like, oh my God, you killed Shona. Which also would have been good TV, but anyway, move on. Right, let's go quickly through some of the stuff that happened, right? The card challenge and puzzle. Interesting that, hey Dave, that Dante is on this Dino. He's got to get rid of Dino. And he's like, I've said it before, that Dante is one of the people in this show who has got an incredible reading on what is happening day to day. And does he have the social capital or the influence to calmly influence people to the way he thinks? And again, remember, Survivor's played on 3 different levels, right? You got your strategic, you got your social, and you got your physical. Now Dante plays at a physical level and a strategic level, but sometimes he lacks the social to be able to implement all of these properly. Now, at this point on Tuesday, he's still got a lot of people in his corner. He's still able to influence people. And then Dino wins that challenge and he's like, guys, we've got to get Dino out. And they hatch this plan and it's like in motion. Hey, man, it's hectic, because the more Dante is on the money and right, the more it almost impacts his game, because he's unable to not focus on that. He just becomes so laser focused that becomes his everything, and he's sort of unable to let it go. No matter what somebody else does, no matter what other people's opinions are, I think he's a little bit better at listening to somebody's opinion, but he still can't let go of his own, like, we've got to do this. This is the decision we've got to make. So yeah, very interesting. And I will also give credit to Tony in that challenge. Also, Dino losing his mind at the end. Tony went! Challenge over, bruh. Anyway, hey Steph. So that was it was such a good moment to capture on camera. Yeah. Seamus went into scramble mode. And it was, look, I'll give him credit. He tried to get people to make a move. He tried to shuffle up some stuff, and he just could not get anybody to budge. And you know what Palesa was saying in her confessional? She was saying, and Dino as well at Tribal Council, that it may not be the most entertaining way to play the game, but it is a strategy. Do the production people try and throw everything at you to try and sway you off this boring gameplay? Perhaps. But when you're in it, you seem so, it's like a comfort blanket, right? You've got your people, and although you're only getting one perspective of what's happening in the game, you feel comfort. You feel, I'm onto something, because when we go to Tribal Council, everybody's on the same wavelength. So we decide who's going to go home, then we execute it and they go home. So that's what happened to me as well. I got so stuck in, guys, what are you talking about? Perhaps somebody else is against me, because we are making a plan. I'm in planning. We go to Tribal, we execute the plan. So what am I not seeing? I mean, I wasn't seeing like 8 other people's opinions and the strategy around there. But let's just pause there before we move on. Yes, God, you're right. The real hero here is David Enright, sacked the nominated director and head of content for this season. 100%. 100%. This season's, you guys are telling stories within stories. Is like Inception of Survivor, and give the man, who do I need to talk to just hand that over now, because who's gonna stand against this man? No, man, come now. Anyway, let's go back to Hilgard. Rabbit joined only because I'm gonna try and do the comments here on my other phone, and that's my other account for Rabbit. JC said, so proud of Seamus though, he played well in my opinion. I can only imagine the fear head going back into the game, fearing to be the first boot again. And again, I think JC, I think you joined a little bit after I mentioned that. I think that Seamus might have had sort of a come to Jesus moment. He will be able to close that chapter, because in the first season he was like, if only I got to play. If only I got to make connections. If only I got to do a challenge. If only I got to do all these things. And now he had the opportunity to play. And he still didn't get to where he wanted to. And I think at the back of his mind, he always will have this thing, did I try my best? Did I do my best? And I think going into this season, he did his best. And he was just not able to execute some of the things that he's always had in his game book. He just couldn't get it right. And so I think, in my personal opinion, watching this season, the people with steadfast gameplay, mark my words, Dante's going to hit a roadblock very soon, because he's unable to let go of his plan. He has one plan, that's get rid of these people in this order. And at the moment, even his closest ally, somebody like Meryl, is going, Dante, can you just... So watch. I'm going to make a prediction that Dante is going to see flames put out very soon, because he's not able to diverge from his initial gameplay. And that is a downfall in Survivor. Same thing with Seamus. He's like, I went in with this, I was going to do this. And I feel like he kind of got stuck when, by the time he needed to make a different move, it was too late. And he couldn't execute through where he needed to be. But I'm such love for Seamus and his story arc. that I really, really, I love where he's gone in this whole game. And I feel like he had demons to slay, and I feel like he went out there. He was Buffy. He slayed them all. He tried his best, and it just didn't pan out the way. But people will remember this guy. I mean, we remembered him from the first season, and he went home. So, honestly, Seamus is a flippin' champion, and I have such love for the guy. Also, can we just focus for 2 seconds? That Kilani Kilani is so far out of her depth. I don't know, man. There was that moment, one of my favorite moments from the season, and I've had a lot, so it's difficult to keep track of. But when they were around the well with Philip and Shona, and Kilani walks up, and they have this grand plan. Poor old Kilani just could not wrap her brain around this. And then Shona, bless her soul, just says, "Come, Kilani, I'll explain it to you." Exit left. That was like such a great moment that they captured and unfolded in such a lacquer way. I really enjoyed that. And also, I will maybe have to put an asterisk on my Kilani not going very far. I also don't know if she was injured, but in the throw forward to the next episode, Gail's going to faint. I will tell you, happened to me off camera right after that damn hot dog challenge, where we had to spell "a win tastes good," and I could not for the life of me put words together. It was absolutely atrocious. And when we walked off, like just my legs went and full on like drown me in water, trying to get me to like wake up. And I think the maid said to me, "When last did you eat?" And I was like, maybe 5 days ago. Yeah, literally. So and this season they got nothing, guys. I don't know what LaRue's trying to do, because it's already hard. And now, like, prisoners of war, guys, is what's happening. All right, so let's move on to Wednesday, guys. We've got about 20 minutes left. Pinty playing on the level that... We spoke a lot about Pinty, but one of the things I think that Pinty's shortfall is that she can only play with what she's seeing. She's not trusting enough in other people to read the other levels of what's going on. So she's seeing here, she's reacting here, she's fighting here, she wants to explode here, she wants to battle here. And somebody like, I see Teresa like trying to... Pinty, maybe. And it's just not going in right. So she's struggling. We see like 7 points of view from the whole tribe, and Pinty's just got her perspective, and it's so blinding. When it's happening, you think you've got everything read, and then you watch it on TV and you're like, look like an absolute twat. It happens, guys. It happens. Anyway, it's interesting to see now Tony's reaction to the tribe swap, right? I think Tony was firmly in hot water, and she really, when that tribe swap happened, and I think a lot of people knew it was happening, got prepared, lots of packed bags and stuff. What I did enjoy was that dye moment. Congratulations, Ruth, was very effective, except perhaps maybe the yellow in the water looked a little urine-like. My opinions, just the thought. So we then got new tribes, and I have them flipped over here. So I've got a whiteboard because I need to keep track of this stuff, guys. The pressure's on for these lives, I won't lie. So we get new tribes, right? Yantu is Shona, Dino, and Dino has an immunity idol. which he discovers in the last couple episodes. Meryl, Palesa, Dante, Philip, Shane, Marion. And there is this question around why Shona decides to choose Yontal when all of her previous tribe mates on the other tribe have the numbers. And if you know Survivor 101, you understand that that you want to go where the numbers are. And hopefully you can perhaps, you don't know it, but try and stick to tribal lines because that's your easiest way through. So when they get to the beach, Meryl says to her, Shona, why did you come here? Your numbers aren't on that side. And I loved her theory. She was like, oh, she says, I'm on the bottom and I can fight my way up. In the confessional, she says, I'm going to try as hard as I can to maybe help the people here who are on the bottom from, she was originally on Yontal, trying to get more Yontal members into the merge. Solid plan, bro. Except you're playing an individual game. Tough one. But I enjoyed her theory. And it might have panned out for her, but we'll never know. We'll never know. Candace pointing out also one of my favorite confessionals, and this is why Philip and I one day will get married if I wasn't another way inclined, because I don't know if he's married, but let's just pretend in some alternate universe that Philip and I were a power couple. Would there be any funnier, sarcastic humans in the world? Okay, I don't know where I'm going with this, but anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. Philip is the funniest thing on this show. Thank people, all of the people, for putting him in. That where he tried to say, Kilani's not the sharpest tool in the shed, and then he manages to say it just as equally as funny, but it wasn't as offensive, but it was still so funny. It's like, well, if I walk into a shed and Kilani was there, she wouldn't be the tool that I choose. It's just flippin' classic, man. In a shed full of tools, don't pick Kilani tool. That's exactly the words. Thanks, Hill God. And Philip's face, man, and that moment when Shona as well is at the well with Kilani, and he's just like, trying to work here with blind people. Right. It's the toughest season of Survivor South Africa. 2 million people. Exactly. Somebody said that, oh, well, why are they making it so hard? Because I'm like, well, because they doubled. Firstly, you're playing against a whole bunch of people who are returning. So as if they were going to let you off. And secondly, you're playing for double the prize money. So they're going to make you put your body on the line. This is the reason I'm happy I'm not there. Lord knows, I only got one tendon. So, Cassidy, you're very late, but welcome. Sheldon saying I was too harsh on Tony last week. No, I wasn't. I could have been way worse. And you can take that to the bank. LaRue knows the full edit. Tony came off lightly from what I've heard. Tony dragged me on the beach. Tony dragged Van on the beach. Lots of shit unpacked itself. I held back. I didn't drag Tony. Tony made up this episode. She won. She was a part of winning 2 of the challenges, and she came back. And Sheldon, I know she's your friend, but come on, let's be honest. She's not coming across great. What are your thoughts on Felix? I'm honestly happy for him this season. Felix is somebody who, for me, in the previous season that he played, was so brash and so divisive. Like, people either loved him or they hated him, but he was like the male version of Tanya, but for so many different reasons. He was the one who was eating too much. There's always Ron, right? It was in Paul in the previous season. And hi Phil, listen, what are you saying? I didn't say hi, I just thought we're gonna get married. Imagine. Hi. Yeah, Felix I'm really enjoying, and he's kind of like the way he is picking up what he's putting down. I think there was a moment where I cringed, where he said something like pretty sexist or something about women, and I was just like, hey, Felix, just careful. You are up here, shaky ground, stay here, but No, I really do enjoy him. He's and he's right in that middle, man. He's really in a good position. He's listening. He's contributing. He really, really, really is like in it. He's there, bro, and he's making moves, and he really is. Hold on with the yellow. Anyway, let's go back to Felix. Somebody's saying Shona wanted to avoid Pinty for Tribe Harmony. Oh yes, happy birthday, LaRue. Saw that on Instagram. All right, Felix, we're done. What else? I did start that challenge. Hey guys. I also wanted to chat quickly about who's got what at the moment. I'm so disappointed. There was so much potential for fake idols. I thought maybe like production had to have like a whiteboard up of who hid what where. Because Seamus had an idol. Shona's, could win a SAFTA by itself just for like art department. Y'all should hire her. She's incredible. And it was hidden so well, and it was built up. It could have been such chaos. And I'm so disappointed that that we didn't get that blowout. Just for interest, just for imagination's sake. Imagine for 2 seconds that before they go in to cast their vote, Shona gets up and she goes to get her fake idol, which looks like the most legit thing you could find in Survivor, and hangs it around her neck. And all of a sudden, Dante's head explodes. Imagine. Oh. Ew. Phil's married. Come on. Boo, Phil. I'm also married. Taryn's here. Love that Philip has another shot at this game. Best thing about his pre-merge versus post-merge game. Philip is the funniest in his confessionals, man. He's the whole show. JC says, this is great, LaRue. 1 million for spending, 1 million for therapy. Second it. But yes, they do get, by the way, I think I've mentioned it before, there is a therapist readily accessible, and this is what I always encourage people who are playing, and the people who are playing now have played before, so they know what they're in for. But I always try and encourage people, listen, it's gonna get tough. It's tough in the game, and when you play it for the first time, you don't know what to expect, and it's tough, and you're like, oh, you come out, you're such a champion, people recognize you, la-di-da-di-da, and then you see yourself on TV doing stuff, and that's a different thing that not many people have ever had to experience. You don't know what it looks like to go into a show where you have to lie, cheat, and steal and do all these weird and wonderful stuff, and then watch yourself do it. It's a completely it's not something that you're exposed to every day. So there is this weird thing that you have to try and live through. And they have a psychologist who is a reality show psychologist readily available to you. What you don't understand is that you don't know that you need it until later. And then you're just a mean bitch to everybody in your life. You can't talk about anything else but Survivor. You lose friends, you lose relationships, you lose all these things, and you have no idea why. It's because all of a sudden, the access point in your life changed. And I remember Meryl, it was long before she went on to the season. She messaged me one day. I think I posted something, did something about Survivor, and she said, do you also struggle with randomly not being able to not think about Survivor? It's constantly in the back of your mind. And it all of a sudden becomes like this access point for who you are. And Ramiz was here, he's my colleague earlier on, and he can tell you in any random situation at work, I'll just be like, no, really, on Survivor, this thing happened to me. To try and give context to a lot of things that happen in the world, somehow it ties back to Survivor and who you are on this island. So it is constantly there. And for this kind of season where they really push to the edge of their sanity, of their physicality, of their emotional well-being, they really all need to like have a schedule for Dr. Elmarie who they can just go to and be like, let's just unpack what we just saw. Let's just unpack people's response. I mean, this week, my number one advice to Pinty was get yourself immediately in therapy, because normal people don't understand it. The fact that Pinty thought her whole reputation in life was going to be ruined, that's not overreacting. You legitimately think that you're going to get fired, you're going to lose family, and that's the kind of impact that we're talking about. But there is always access to somebody to help you out. Hey, mammy! Welcome, Warren. Sheldon asking, will it be a bad move for Marion to save Steffi with diplomatic immunity if she is showing her cards too early? It's a good question. To pull this off, firstly, is going to be really, really tough. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens as we get to that moment. At the moment, Marion doesn't seem to be in any trouble, right? But Steffi, on the other hand, in the next throw forward to the next episode, looks as if she is getting into some hot water. And again, my good old friend Pinty is in the middle of it. And something I've mentioned before, it's around food. And Steffi openly says in her confessionals, I know I shouldn't get into the politics around food, but here I am. Nobody comes into my kitchen. Nobody comes and tells me. Oh my God. That is the first way to get yourself in trouble, is to put yourself between. I learned this probably first week. I would cook and I would let people dish up, right? And that was one of the worst things I could do, because all of a sudden other people were dishing up like this. Some people had nothing. There was like this one damn Felicia chicken that was shared between 700 people. And so some people were like, you got, meanwhile it's dark, so you like this in somebody's food to see now how many pieces of chicken did you get, because I can smell chicken in your bowl, can't see it because no bloody light. And you just, it's I cannot explain to you, like there's nothing in the real world that explains the politics that happens around the grossest food you'll ever taste. It's like being around a trash can and like fist fighting to see you can get nasty, scrappy, gross stuff off the bottom of the trash can. That's the only way I can describe. But you will fight, bruh. You will fight for your life. So Marion for me seems to be in a decent place where she is in her tribe. That tribe to me seems like the one that's the most like stable, to be honest with you. Masu, we've got Tejan, Teresa, Steffi, Felix, Tony, Kilani, and Pinty. Pinty and Steffi, if one of them is not there, it will be more calm. I think, unfortunately, if it's Pinty, if she goes, it will be a more successful tribe. Not that I think they're going to lose. There's too much shitstorm that is happening on the other tribe with Dante and Dino that is going to explode. And the great thing for Marion is she's kind of riding that and just letting that unplay, right? So would she use diplomatic immunity for Steffi? Why not? She can't use it for herself. So at some point she can bring Steffi across. And Steffi's only one of 3 in that tribe. So she is on the bottom of the numbers. Say, for instance, she uses that. They're going to go to tribal council. She's already on the bottom. She's fighting with Pinty. Marion uses it, brings her across. All of a sudden, they've got more numbers on that side. And it makes things stronger. No, not Dante, sorry. I meant Dino. Sorry, Phil. Dante and Dante and you now. Philip, you prick. What the fuck, man? Sorry. I'm gonna get there. In a second. I love you. Just let me get to any of the... Oh, right. So, guys, so much pressure. I have 10 more minutes. Let's quickly get to... Oh, Marion... Oh, sorry, Larue, you're right. Marion can use that to go to the other tribe, but I don't know why she would. You're going to go to the bottom of that tribe as well. Also, you're going to go back to Tony. I don't know if Marion's going to use that for us. Anyway, Phil, you flipping your vote. And listen, let me just explain what happened, right? And I don't chat to Phil. We're not mates just yet. We might be best friends after this. But what happened with that is Phil, at Tribal Council, a lot is played in your gut. And all of a sudden, Phil was like going to go in there. They were going to flip things and it was going to be dramatic. And they were going to get Dante gone. And it was just going to be this epic, like, one for the books. And all of a sudden, Phil got this, because we got to talk about this. So Phil gets a feeling in his stomach that says they're not going to vote for Dino. They're going to vote for me. Now, surefire way to stay in the game. And let's give this a name, right? So Phil has got that Sandra mentality, as long as it's not me. That's a great way to play this game, by the way. And all of a sudden he gets a sinking feeling that Dino's going to play his idol for himself. And all of a sudden he thinks, but they're going to vote for me. So the surefire way to stay in the game was to load up his one vote for the people that he knew Shona, they were voting for Shona, the other alliance. So if he flips one vote the other way, he stays in the game. What happens now is going to be, I don't know. Because now he really is on the bottom with old Dino. Shona's gone. I really hope that Shona told Dino exactly where that damn idol is. I pray to the survivor gods that he knows that it's there. I don't think Seamus's one is going to be able to be played or used because I don't know whether he would have told anybody about it. Because if he did, it would have been on camera, right? Because nothing that happens in the game that doesn't happen on camera will happen in the show. And Seamus is gone. And we can't have a flashback. It's not a Stefano De Miro kind of situation here. So we're going to have to see what happens. Somebody said, I think that fake idol is going to come up. Yeah, I hope it does because it can cause... it can cause drama. I'm just reading some of the comments here, guys. Phil says, yeah, hunger hits different on Survivor. Say it again, John. Marion, can you do for yourself? Yep, covered that. Thank you for flipping your vote, Phil. So Lara lives up the West Coast and she is firmly Team Dante. However, Lara and I did chat this week and I said that, I mean, I'm also Team Dante. Just in terms of the way he plays, such a great guy, like out of the game. He's not this intense out of the game. I mean, he's pretty intense, but he's less like Messiah-ish, which is, I think, but if there's one thing that scares me, it's those words that he uses in the throw forward to next week. I'm the Messiah of this game. Watch how quickly he falls now. So yeah, with Phil flipping, Dante doesn't go. Laura's very happy. I'm not upset. I am upset that a massive blindside didn't happen. I'm not that upset that Dante's still in the game because he's playing and giving me such drama, right? So Laura's trying to backtrack now. I was a fan of his coffee. His coffee was great, but he's also cool. I was upset that we didn't get to see this like blindside, like taking out one of the main like people at the top with no clue that it was happening. And it just would have been such great TV. Not that it wasn't good TV, and not that it's not going to be explosive when he gets back to the beach. Because, even at Tribal Country, it's like, guys, I told you, Dino's the one. Blah, blah, blah. It's fascinating because Dino isn't even the one at the moment, according to what I'm seeing on TV, who is actually calling the shots. That would be your man Phil. Just saying. So, do I think Dante is going to make the merge? Perhaps. Is it going to be a massive challenge? Yes. Remember, Dante has an immunity idol. Not for himself. He has to change. He has to switch with Tejan. That's if Tejan finds it, and if he decides to give it to Dante. Why he wouldn't decide to give it to Dante, I don't know, because if they can trade, then each of them get it. Yeah, so there's so many things happening. Steffi's got immunity idol. So if she knows she's in trouble, after the blowout with Pinty, she has at least one good out if she plays it correctly. Remember, guys, having an idol in your pocket doesn't mean that you're safe. You have to actually play it properly. Ask somebody like Tevin. It's hard. Anyway. JC wants to know, Jean, if there's still time left, I'm curious to know which future seasons you'd like to see. Heroes versus villains, fans versus faves, blood versus water, anything in particular. I would always like to see fans versus faves. I think that'll be a great one. Blood versus water has always been one of my favorites. I don't want to see it because I can barely get somebody to go on TV for me, guys. My partner, my parents, I was like scraping the bottom of the barrel. My flatmate came. Nobody wants to be on TV. They're scared they'll be asked like gay questions, And I would also love to see, as Phil says, a crossover with Aussie and South Africa, Australia, and America. That would be great. Or SA, New Zealand, and Australia. I don't mind. We're getting enough blood this season. Jeez, like no kidding, eh? Guys, we have to wrap it up. Any last comments that we've got? This is the time. Thank you. I think we got through a lot. We have got so much content that comes out of this bloody show. It gives me, I don't watch anything else. I'm exhausted at the end of the day. The episode finishes at 7 and I'm on the phone with like 3-way conversations with 18,000 people talking about the episodes. So, my God, it's exhausting. And we just spend 1 hour talking about all the stuff that happens in these episodes. But you need to remember that it's only pre-merge still. We have got 14, after Shona goes home, 14 people still in this game. It is bananas, but here we are. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for Larute for making time for us always. Thank you to the regulars. Thank you to Mr. Phil for joining us as well. And Steffi, you're also in here. Thank you. I hope you like the new studio setup. I am hoping to get a proper camera. I'm still working off my cell phone. But I am trying to get more profesh. But remember when I didn't win the money? Yeah, that sucks. Anyway, guys, keep well. We'll see you on Sunday at 7. Please like, share. If you're going to watch it later on YouTube or Facebook, please share it. Please like it. I don't have enough followers to do anything else cool with the channel. So if you love it, please share it. And yeah, we'll see you guys all next week. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of the season if you don't go mad. Bye!